Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow, and what is the day today? It always runs together. It's Wednesday. Of course it is. I've got so much news to cover today and what's going on. I haven't done crypto news in a while. Got a lot of different stuff to show you guys, different metrics, different things. Man, hold on. Let me get fueled up here. All right. I should be good to go. I am live right now on Twitter, and I am live on YouTube's. So what's up, Alex? First in chat, what's going on, man? I'm pretty sure you just sit in the firehouse, don't you? You just kind of wait for a trigger that I went live. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to share something here. This is super cool. Actually, before I do that, I am going to pull up his Instagram. I'm going to pull up his Instagram. This is going to be a long one probably today, just so you guys know. Because there's just so much stuff to cover, but I'm kind of stalling a little bit, waiting for chat, everybody to get their notifications. But the sweetest thing happened last night. And let me see, is this it? No. There it is. Is that it? And yeah, this is it. So, so last night, my stepson surprised me with something that really took me. It was so touching. It was so legitimate. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever done anything quite like it for me before. In fact, I know nobody has. But you know, just a little side story. So, I mean, my wife and I met back when my stepson, I'd rather just call him my son, honestly, but it's just like, we don't look anything alike. So, you know, if I'm like, oh, my son, this, and they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't add up. So, just for context, but, you know, he was 8 years old, when I came into his life. And of course, you know, it was him and his mom, and he wasn't used to having a man around. And, like every little boy, including myself, it's just like when there's some new authority figure, you know, you rebel, you don't like it, right? You especially like me, when I think about myself as a young kid, I look back on how I kind of controlled my mom a bit, and I really gave her a rough go. I try to make up for it as much as I can today. But you know, I mean, it was rough, man. I mean, you couldn't tell me anything. I was always in trouble. I was always bored. I was always taking stuff apart. I was always in detention. I was always in always the problems with school. I mean, I was just so bad. I mean, I was supposed to skip a couple grades, in grade school. I think it started in the 4th grade, and they're like, hey, if you could behave for a year, we'll let you skip to the 6th grade. And that didn't happen. And then they tried again in the 5th, and I couldn't behave, always in the principal's office. But the long and short of it is that, like, you know, he couldn't stand me. He hated me, and he used to scream it. You know, something would happen, he'd get in trouble, and then I'd hear him, you know, screaming at his mom, like, I hate him. Why did you ever meet him? Why are you even with him? That kind of thing. And I used to tell him when he was a kid, I'm like, listen, man, you're going to hate me now. But as you get older, you'll learn to love me. And, you know, it's just what Chris and my wife and I used to say all the time. Like, you know, he'll get it when he's older. And, you know, now he's in his early 20s, and he's doing really well. And he's such a good dude. He's such a smart dude. He's a loyal guy. He's become someone that, you know, I wish I had as a friend at that age. You know what I mean? Like, truly, he's just a cool dude. And like, all of his friends are very like mixed in their way, their culture, you know, he's very much like his mother. And, he's just such a good dude. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys what he did for me yesterday. I had no idea this was happening. And he went and got himself a tattoo, and, sat for it for hours. And where is my window? Where's my window? Is this it? And then as soon as I'm done with this little story, then I'll get on with what's happening, because there's a lot. So he got this tattoo. And it's such a crazy thing. They came home, they were gone all day long. They drove like over 2 hours to go to this tattoo artist, and he basically got a big crow tattoo in my honor. And it is such an amazing thing. I still get a little choked up thinking about it. I mean, he just got this yesterday. And it's just an amazing tattoo. I'm like, now I have to go get a really cool crow tattoo because the one on my neck just doesn't look right. Yeah, so I just thought I'd share that. I mean, it's such a powerful thing. And, it's like, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than like, it's difficult being a stepdad. And it's difficult being a stepchild, like whatever the case may be. And, you just kind of have to, I don't know, like everything else, I feel like you just speak your mind, you go with your heart, let time tell the tale. It's what I've always said. And, we have such a great relationship now. And it's just like, it's true. I'm not a little kids kind of person. It's not that I don't love kids. It's just that I'm such a straight shooter. I'm so like ABC. I'm very just kind of structured in my head, and like there's right or wrong, there's good or bad. And, and it's just like, that doesn't resonate with children very well. And, I feel like I've always been very firm, but very fair. And, and he gets it now, and it's just like, he's grown up to be such a kick-ass dude. And then to do something like that, I'm like, man, that's crazy. Apparently he's been saving for himself for a while. So anyway, some of you guys care, some of you guys don't. So we're going to move on with the video, but I just wanted to share that because it's such a powerful thing. I voted today I voted in yes of this treasury cut. Just to let everybody know, I thought about this for quite a while, and I thought to myself, at first I thought, this sounds self-serving. I have a pretty successful node. I forget what my delegate's up to. I think it's in the 40 million, maybe 42 million or something. And, it's a profitable node and it does well, thanks to all of your support who delegate to the Crow node. It helps myself. It helps my administrator who does a lot for me. He gets a cut. And so it just kind of helps the wheels turn. But I was initially like against this treasury cut. And then basically the long and short of it is I started thinking, I'm like, listen, the more of a yield, I didn't want to make it a self-serving vote. I just didn't, but that was my vote. I voted yes officially. It's basically decreased the treasury tax from 20% to 10%. And the way I look at it is pretty simple at this point. By cutting the treasury tax, we already have a huge treasury at this point. We can pretty much do anything we want. And when the market really starts recovering and Cardano starts to really climb, that treasury is going to be like insanely huge. Billions of dollars. And I thought to myself, what do we need more at this point? And I think what we need more are more stake pool operators. And we need an expansion of the user base. And the more rewarding staking and basically staking ADA is, and the more pools we have, effectively it secures the blockchain even more. It continues to expand its reach. It's more profitable for people to buy Cardano and hold it long term, generating that passive yield from staking, all of the things associated with the ecosystem. And I feel that with everything coming on Cardano between Bitcoin OS and then IOHK's version of the Bitcoin OS that's going to settle on in ADA, we've got Midnight coming. We've got a lot of the Hydra stuff coming. We've got so much happening on the Cardano blockchain that by far blows away everything else in the space. I mean, let's just be realistic about it. It's going to blow everything out of the water, and everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. People are seeing it. They're recognizing what kind of power Cardano is really, what it has now and what it's going to have just in a matter of months. And as it continues to expand in these ways, technologically, the governance, the constitution's been ratified. That's done. This is a truly decentralized governance blockchain that even the SEC now has basically acknowledged that it's decentralized and not in need of anything, right? And I just thought, the way Cardano grows from there, from where we're about to be here in a couple months, it's just like the treasury and the volume of activity and everything happening on Cardano is going to far outweigh, like it's going to make up for the cut in treasury. And so I felt ultimately, yeah, it probably is a good idea. Let's reward the stake pools. Let's get more of them. Let's make sure they're more profitable, because during a bear market, running my stake pool was costing me, I think it was like 400 something bucks a month. And I really wasn't making very much, even with the amount delegated. So it's like, and I'm thinking, that's me, a YouTuber, one of the first people ever to talk about Cardano on YouTube and be a proponent of it and educating about it and just reading through all of that shit. And it's just like, and I built a reputation for that. And that's why I'm valued in the space. But what about the people who want to start a node, but they don't really have a real way of generating as much interest as someone like myself or some of the others? And I thought, we need to make sure that it's worthwhile for everybody, because it's not that cheap to run a node. And on top of that, it's very technical and it's not super easy. So to get the right, so yeah, that was basically my vote. And anytime I make a firm vote on something, I plan on sharing it with all of you guys just for transparency. I think transparency is very important. Now, I'm going to go over the something before I start getting into some of the news and some of the other stuff. But these are basically all of the bull market peak indicators, and not a single one of these is triggered yet. Not a single one is triggered. And, because there are thoughts, there are people who say, well, what if the market is peaked, but, the institutions and everybody, the market makers, everybody knows how that works. And so they're intentionally manipulating all of these triggers so that, it catches everyone off guard. So we don't have a real way of knowing, right? Like, we don't have anything. Not a single one of these is peaked, man. And it's basically telling me, listen, we're not in a bear market. I mean, and overall, I said in yesterday's video, I could see us potentially peaking out in May and then hitting a major altcoin rally for 30 to 90 days post Bitcoin peak. And, and that's what I think honestly may very well play out. Maybe it goes on longer than that. I don't know. We'll see. But I am definitely going to be watching all of these indicators, because something tells me that when all of the stars start aligning, this is just going to start blowing up. Ping, 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 ping. And you're just going to see all of these indicators blowing up. So, I'm not concerned at all. And the reality is how can you look at the current market right now? And to some degree, I think that there are a lot of newcomers in the space. There are a lot more newcomers in the space than there has been in previous markets. A lot of these newcomers don't have a clue how things work. They don't know what's happening. And the institutions that are, and we're going to go over a lot of on-chain metrics and institutional inflow, outflow. We're going to cover a lot of stuff in this video today. I don't know if I'm going to be doing one tomorrow. But there's so much stuff happening. And the Bybit hack, I saw some stuff recently. I saw some stuff recently talking about how it's basically, whether the hack itself was some form of inside job, that if Bybit went under, a lot of other exchanges would struggle. And so all these other exchanges basically, potentially, allegedly coordinated for a major sell-off of like profit assets in a form of a loan to keep Bybit moving forward. Because if Bybit went down, a lot of them it would become a cascading effect, and they didn't want to suffer that. So it was easier for them to basically help their competition stay afloat during such a tremendous hack, and effectively has been pushing the price down. Now, I feel like there's always going to be a narrative for anything that happens, right? And I'm not one. I feel like the news is typically used as a catalyst for a lot of things. In some instances, but also I feel like the news is almost like a lagging indicator as well. I think things happen. People point to the news and they say, look at the sentiment. Oh, the price went down. Typically the price is moving the way it's going to move because of market makers, institutions, and the big whales that have an impact on the market. And the other thing you also have to consider is liquidity pipelines. I've talked about this in the past. And, back when I was preparing to launch an exchange of my own, which I kind of wish I would have continued with, but it's probably best I don't. Hindsight's always 2020. I just, the liability got to me, and I just didn't have any faith in the development team that I had hired to build out the exchange. And I just felt strongly that if the exchange launched, it would probably grow pretty quickly, and then something would happen. Like I felt it in my gut, and I'm like, something would happen. And I just didn't want that liability, man. And I didn't want my name attached to it. It's like, if I were to do it again, I would hire an in-house development team working like in the same building, not outsourcing to some development firm that's just taking your money and basically doing whatever the hell they want, dragging shit out, making a million excuses. I mean, during the beta, we launched this beta when everything was getting ready to launch, and there were so many issues. And every time I pointed out an issue, they're like, "Oh yeah, we just fixed that. Oh, we just fixed that." But nothing was actually getting fixed. And I'm like, you know what? I can't work with this. I'm not going to put my neck, my reputation, and my like potentially freedom, like whatever was going to be the case, if something bad would have happened to customer assets on this exchange with this development team that looked like they were just screwing around. So anyway, but in the midst of that, you know, I learned a lot about how exchanges work. And what happens is you've got a lot of major exchanges like Binance being the key one, Coinbase and others. And what they do is they issue what's called a liquidity pipeline, because let's say you're going to launch an exchange, but you don't have market makers for every asset, but you want the price action to match what price action is happening on other exchanges. Well, these major exchanges with extremely high volume will put out what's called a liquidity pipeline that you could kind of subscribe to, and you pay a fraction of a percentage of your trade volume to utilize this. And basically what it is it's almost like a consistent order book flow. And so, you know, your exchange is matching the price action of like some of these larger exchanges. And a lot of these larger exchanges, you know, if something happens on, let's say Binance, and let's say there's a 20% drop, well, there's going to be a 20% drop across all these other exchanges because they're sharing the same order book flow, the same price action on this liquidity pipeline. It's basically how new exchanges launch and are able to maintain themselves and maintain a steady flow of market without these significant arbitrage opportunities that can basically make or break an exchange. So that's how that stuff works. So in a sense, what chair is that? It's just a giant man's chair. I've been through so many chairs and they all break after like 6 months. So I basically went and bought like the biggest chair I could find. Cause I also like to sit Indian style for whatever reason. So I can sit Indian style in this chair. I can't sit in those little gamer chairs. So anyway, the point is that, you know, what happens on like just a handful of the top exchanges in the market are typically happening across the board. So if Bybit, if all of this wouldn't have happened, then Bybit would have struggled and it would have ultimately have been a big cascading effect. So let's start going over some news. We've got about 750 people in here. Let's start hitting it. SEC acknowledges Cardano ETF application from Grayscale. Also, the SEC ends its investigation into Uniswap. The SEC has dropped a lot of cases this week already. I mean, it's just, I'm telling you, man, whatever happens over the course of this week into next week, I still think there's a potential for us to get a further drop in filling that CME gap. Don't get it twisted. It could definitely happen, especially considering the fact that we're so close, but we're going to look at so much stuff in this video. So the SEC has acknowledged a proposal from NYSE Arca on behalf of crypto asset manager Grayscale to list and trade a spot Cardano ETF. This is probably, you know what? Honest to God, I think that if they do this, this is likely going to be one of the biggest ETFs in the altcoin space, above all else, possibly even Ethereum. And I'll tell you why. Because Cardano, I believe, is as much, if not more, a household name. Unless this is my, and I'm just going to be real honest, this could be my own confirmation bias or whatever. I don't know. Maybe because it's such a part of me and my world and my existence. I mean, it's everywhere. My cat's named Cardano, for God's sake. My other cat's named Midnight. Named that cat before Midnight was ever even announced. I didn't even know that existed. Call it Destiny, call it whatever you want. But I have 2 cats, Cardano and Midnight, and here we are. Cardano I did name after obviously the blockchain, but Midnight we did not. There was no word of Midnight anywhere. So that just was a happenstance thing. It blows my mind to this day that that's the case. But it just tells me I'm on the right life path, I guess. But Cardano, you ask anybody, like, what do you know about crypto? Chances are they know Bitcoin, they probably know Ethereum, and then it's very likely they know Cardano. And I'm really curious. I would almost like to go around the streets of Florida or something and just ask people that and see what happens. But I think there are a lot of people that want to buy Cardano. They want to hold some, but there are a lot of people still that just don't know anything about blockchain. They know what it is. They know what kind of money is being made, but they don't know how to navigate wallets. They don't know how to navigate, every wallet is different. Every blockchain is different. It can be very confusing. So I honestly think that when this launches, it's going to be one of the biggest spot ETFs out there next to Bitcoin. And that could even change potentially once all of this like Bitcoin OS and stuff launches in May. Now, the other side to this though, and I want to keep this into everyone's head, is if you have the means of buying Cardano yourself, whether it's on a direct exchange, storing it on a cold wallet, doing something to that effect, not only do I believe that's much better for you personally, but it's also going to be much better for the overall ecosystem, because as these spot ETFs start accumulating Cardano, they're also going to be empowering themselves within the governance system. And you can bet that these institutions that start these spot ETFs are going to do so with the means and I'm sure the interest of influencing the governance system to benefit them directly. And that's just the name of the game. So there's a pro and con to that. Will it help absorb a lot of the Cardano on the open market? Yes. Will it probably help price action? Absolutely. But there's also the fact that this is the most decentralized blockchain out there for a reason. And this could pose a risk to some of that decentralization to some extent in terms of empowering a single or even a handful of entities with, figure how many people in the country, how many people in the world are going to start buying ADA through these ETFs, and every one of those purchases is going to further empower these groups to do what they want in terms of the governance system. So, but at the same time, if it makes sense for them, it could very well make sense for the rest of us. So we'll have to wait and see. Cardano eyes a 70% surge as Hoskinson takes shots at Ethereum and Solana. Now, just so you know, I haven't even read through any of these articles yet. I just thought the headline sounded interesting, so we're going to cover them here together. Cardano held up well on Monday despite a sharp drop in the price. Man, it's been so long since I've read news. I got to get my chops back. Monday, despite a sharp drop in the prices of other major cryptos like Bitcoin, with the crypto holding firmly above its 200 daily moving average, a sign that bulls are still putting up a solid fight. Of course they are. The Cardano price was last just under 68 cents, just above its 200-day moving average at 66 cents, down around 50% from its December highs in the $1.32 area. If the 200 DMA holds a strong area of support, which is very possible, Cardano could soon snap its downtrend of the last 3 months and rally over 70% back to its highs. This is what I expect to happen, but likely not until we get a confirmed bottom of Bitcoin. Cardano set to outperform in 2025. Hoskinson criticizes Ethereum and Solana, hype that the U.S. government might move its financial activities onto the Cardano blockchain could be a major and still a completely underpriced catalyst for ADA in 2025. It could be. Here's the thing, though. To be very honest about it, even if this were to happen, I doubt it would happen before the peak of the bull market. I just don't. I mean, we're not even going to get legislation for stable coins probably until somewhere around May. But the news of something concrete. Yes, we know Charles is basically, at this point, he's put it all over the place. We know that Charles is going to be having dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago on the 1st. That's basically a week away. And there's a good chance that Elon will probably be there as well, because I'm pretty sure Elon lives in Mar-a-Lago at this point. And so it'll be a very good dinner. It'll be a productive dinner. I can't wait to learn more about what happens. And so, you know, we'll see what happens. But even if Charles gets in their ear and really kind of makes a case for this, it's still not something that's going to happen here in 3 months or 4 months or 5 months even. So we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. In the same interview, he hit out against Ethereum for allowing so much activity to move to layer 2 networks, and said that Solana would not be able to survive, particularly as the amount of data being moved within its ecosystem surges. Notably, the Solana network faced a lot of issues in the wake of the issuance of the Trump coin in January. Assuming Bitcoin does continue on its path to becoming the most important global reserve and collateral asset, Cardano can see massive growth in the years ahead as its main DeFi sidechain. It's going to get crazy. And then, of course, you've got some other nonsense. And basically, one of the arguments that Charles was making is basically saying how big the blockchain is. Like, after all these years, 7, 8 years, I think he said something to the effect of, Cardano's database, or its, you call it database, but basically its data reserve, its blockchain size is somewhere around like 138, 138 gigs or something, I think. Similar to basically Bitcoin's. So similar in size, but with smart contracts. So you've got Bitcoin that's been around since 2009, growing this entire time. You've got Cardano with smart contracts and everything else, and they're about the same size right now. And then Solana is like, I forget what he said, it's like terabytes or something, like a day. I mean, it's just like it's growth of data and all of this crap it's basically like a hoarder's house, So, and yeah, that's a lot of bloat, and I'm sure that there's a lot of fun if somebody were able to dive into all of that data in detail and uncover a lot of things. Some already have, but there's only so much I think you can tell without being on the inside. So anyway, yeah, that's what they're talking about. This I think you'll find interesting. Cardano price forms a double bottom ahead of Charles Hoskinson's VIP meeting. Can ADA hit $1? Yes, it's going to hit $1 again, and I'm sure probably in the not so distant future. But be warned, we could get another last flash downturn to fill that CME gap. I'm waiting to see if it happens. If it does, it's not. If it does happen, it's probably going to happen between now and like next Wednesday is my guess. So I'm just kind of sitting pretty waiting. Cardano price has formed a bullish double bottom pattern ahead of Hoskinson's VIP meeting. There's speculation that the meeting will be with billionaire Elon Musk, or both. The double bottom pattern points to a potential surge to $1. Yeah, okay, so this was his post on February. So so this is happening on the 1st. It's coming up. I'm nervous for him. My only hope, Elon will probably understand Charles. Obviously, Trump will not. My hope is that Charles can speak to them. Like, in a way, I could see Charles like nerding out with Elon, and maybe that's what he wants to do. You know what I mean? And then maybe if he gets in Elon's ear, then that will flow into Trump. I don't know. But a part of me hopes he doesn't go in and just nerds out hard and just loses Trump immediately. And then Elon is kind of like, maybe they get each other. They speak the same languages. Maybe Elon can translate for Charles. I don't know how this is going to work. I have nothing but faith in Charles, but I'm just hoping that he doesn't go into this meeting like when he talks in AMAs and he goes on these long-winded breakdowns of things, I know that he leaves a lot of people clueless. I know that he leaves a lot of people just not understanding what's going on, what he's talking about. I've done videos where I'm kind of like decoding Charles. He just thinks on a different level, and all of the wording and the vocabulary and the trigger words and all of these different things that he explains and talks about, I just think it blows right over the heads of most people, including myself. I have to look up a lot of shit so that I understand what he's talking about. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. And yeah, if we, where's this chart? Yeah, so we can look at the chart here. This is this is basically what they're talking about. We've got this double bottom here at around 65 cents. We're going to look at the charts here in a minute because I saw Bitcoin was dropping as I was going live. So we could be heading our way down to fill the CME futures gap. Hopefully it happens sooner than later if it's going to happen. I'd really rather it not drag out much further. But there's some on-chain data that we're going to look at as well. But yeah, we could be hitting this double bottom. But I think that if Bitcoin does hit its CME futures gap, it's likely we could come down another 10 cents maybe to this 50 cent range. And I know that's going to suck because, when I think about it, I was first getting back into Cardano. My first buyback in after the peak of the market was 50 cents. Now my average price is somewhere around like 36 cents or something, I think. I can't remember, but it could see 50 cents. Libra and Melania teams suspected in $2.73 million wash trading scheme. Of course they are. I mean, I don't know how much of this is true, but we're probably going to find out. And as soon as these tokens launched, and then I started looking up the team associated with this, and like the World Liberty and these degens that they had, I'm like, these guys must be really good talkers to convince these guys, like in the Trump team and all of this, Libra, Melania. The team behind the Libra and Melania tokens are facing accusations of money laundering through wash trading, according to a report by Look On Chain Monitoring. Investigators allege that a wallet associated with these projects engaged in a suspicious transaction involving a meme coin, purchasing it with 19,846 Solana, approximately $2.76 million. Shortly after the purchase, the Pope tokens were sold for just 175 Solana, resulting in a $2.73 million loss. This loss was reportedly redistributed across multiple wallets in a manner that masked its true purpose. Libra and Melania, $2.73 million alleged money laundering via wash trading. According to a report by Look On Chain Monitoring, the teams behind Libra and Melania tokens have been accused of laundering money through wash trading. The specific transaction under scrutiny involved the purchase of the Pope meme coin using $2.76 million shortly after the Pope tokens were sold for basically next to nothing, resulting in an estimated loss of $2.7 million. Investigators allege that this loss was strategically transferred to other wallets in a manner designed to appear legitimate. But I guess I don't understand. Maybe I don't understand how money laundering works. Like, why would buying something and then dumping it at a significant loss benefit them? The recorded trading volume was 5.436K, with activity patterns consistent with the allegations of artificial trading. Wash trading is generally, it's from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I understand, like Solana does a lot of wash trading, or at least they used to. I don't know if they still do, but it's basically just a way to pump up trade volume. You're just trading back and forth. Nobody wins, nobody loses. It's just pumping volume so that you can say, look at how active we are. Look at how many people we've got doing stuff. So I don't know. This isn't really very explanatory. But of course the tokens dropped. I don't know. That's the first time I read through that. Solana whale activity plummets. Another dip ahead. Recent on-chain data shows a substantial decrease in activity on the Solana network, dropping by 60% from their October 24 reach. Glassnode reports 18.5 million active addresses on October 22nd, 2024, which declined to just 7.3 million active addresses on February 23rd, 2025. I find that interesting. Because it's been shown, like, the number of bots that are that have been doing stuff, like are the bots still active, but like the real people are running away, or are the real people staying because all the influencers are telling them to, and the bots are being shut down? I doubt it. The dramatic decrease in user participation along with transaction frequency comes at a time when markets are also struggling. The price of Solana reached $1.67 in October during its maximum period of active network addresses. The declining numbers of active pushed Solana price to endure more. Somebody needs to work out these typos. So anyway, still down 13% intraday. I think it's going to continue going down. Whether they figure out how to pump this back up, I don't know. We'll see. But it's just been in a free fall, man. And, you know, I watched these Solana influencers. I guess I'll tell you my story while I'm getting to the rest of this stuff. I was actually really peeved. I was kind of ticked off the other day. I posted about it on my Twitter. You know, I'll tune in to like Crypto Banner and, you know, in the morning sometimes, because, I mean, realistically, he's a smart guy. Like, love him or hate him, he's a smart guy, and he definitely knows the market. And I feel like a lot of these major Solana bulls are very intelligent. I feel like they very much know the market. They understand what's happening. But for some reason, I'm thinking to myself, why are they still so consistently bullish on Solana when all this stuff has been exposed? You've got DB Crypto and others all over Twitter, you know, deep diving into the on-chain metrics, the addresses, the wash trading, all the tactics, everything that they do, the failed transactions. Like, how could they still be so bullish? And like, I was watching Rand Nooner, and I'm like watching him, and I'm looking at his eyes, right? And I feel like his eyes are telling me one thing while his mouth is saying something else. And I just had this gut feeling like the plummet that he's experiencing is really catching him off guard. And he wasn't ready for it. He wasn't prepared for it, and he doesn't understand it. And then I started thinking to myself, why is it? And he was basically trying to make a case that this is all just because Bitcoin's coming down, right? And that you buy the dip. And he keeps telling his audience, buy the dip. And you notice I'm a major Cardano bull, but I'm not telling everybody to run out and buy the dip. Like, I'm confident. I'm confident that whatever's going to play out is going to play out. I'm confident in the tech. I'm confident in Solana's or Cardano's growth. I'm confident in all of everything that's happening. The government, like, how many times have you ever heard me tell you, oh, Cardano's dropping 20%, buy the dip. Have I ever said that to you guys? I don't feel the need, because I'm very confident in the technology that is Cardano. And I don't feel like I have to push you guys to either become my exit liquidity because I'm trying to find an exit, or because I need you guys to keep pumping my bags. Like, I don't feel it's necessary. That's not what I'm here for. And to some extent, if I were to say that about Cardano, or a lot of other assets for that matter, I would feel like the idea was merited, right? Like, well, the technology is solid. Like, we know where this is going, you know, I'd feel very confident. But if I'm a Solana bull and there's so much that's been exposed about Solana and the smoke and mirrors and everything associated with it, why have I not ever addressed it on my channel? Why do I completely ignore all of it when it comes to the price finally dumping? So I posted a comment. Under this video, like, it's time to face the facts about Solana or whatever. And, you know, and I'm watching his eyes as he's talking about it, and I'm like, this guy's scared. Like, this guy looks very, very nervous right now, and I don't think he really knows what to do. And so all he can think to do is to try and get his viewers to buy the dip and basically stop his bleeding. That's just the way I felt. It's my opinion. I could be totally wrong. But I posted a comment under the video, and I'm like, why have you not, like, looked into some of the stuff that's been exposed about Solana? Like, why don't you look at some of the issues it has, from the failed transactions, the wash trading, a lot of these things, like on-chain metrics? Why don't you talk about that? Maybe that would help put things in a more perspective than just, well, Bitcoin's dropping and so Solana's dropping harder, because I think there's more to it than that. I don't know if he did it. I know there's a big team over there at Crypto Banter, and they have a lot of different people. And I'm sure they have administrators probably that are like monitoring and doing stuff with their comments. So I don't know if he personally deleted my comment, but I took a screenshot of it because I had a feeling. Like I had a feeling because I told myself if they know all of these things, but they're just trying to ignore it because they're either being paid somehow, some way, maybe they run a validator node or like, I don't know, like whatever it is. And they're aware of all of these things, but they don't want their viewers to know. Or they don't want to add credibility to what is basically like right out in the open anyway. Like it's all there, screenshots, links, it's all out there. If somebody cares enough, they can go find it. Just go to DB Crypto's channel. He covers this stuff all the time. And I thought, I'm going to ask this question and I'm going to take a screenshot of it because if they delete it, then I'm going to know that they know, and they're just trying to snow their audience to, do whatever they want them to. And to me, that is extremely dishonest. And that again, that's just my opinion, but that's basically what happened the other day. And I just think it's sad, honestly. I think it's sad. Because I wouldn't have done that if it were like Polkadot. If it didn't have the obvious history that Solana has, basically from the beginning, all of the tactics it used to try and push itself up, the way it would dump on Cardano all the time, the way all of those Solana influencers were constantly trying to trash Cardano and still do. They make up shit all the time and they post it all over the place. And it's just a dirty fight, right? They fight very, very dirty in a lot of ways. And now that the proof is in the pudding, and everybody can see what Cardano's blossomed into and where it's continuing to blossom to and all of the new advancements coming. And then you see Solana struggling as the house of cards that I believe that it is. And these major Solana bulls are just constantly chugging along and they're pushing it. Now, I will say this about Solana. It doesn't matter where I look. When it comes to like AI development or any kind of use case, somehow, some way, Solana's always in the conversation. I will say that. And I do believe that Cardano needs to get on that ball. I was just doing something the other day. Oh, that's right. It was, I was working on using AI to build like a SaaS platform. I was just experimenting with different AI platforms. And then I found this website that's basically like a catalog of all of the different data APIs out there. And there were like 5 or 6 of them about Solana. And I'm like, where the hell? And I was so surprised to see it. I'm like, Solana really is everywhere. But unfortunately, I think a lot of the stuff is just basically being sold with, smoke screens and like just false narratives. So yeah, I thought I'd share that because I was pretty pissed off. I was like, you know what? That's dirty. Like, that's just flat out dirty. But hey, that's the way you want to run your ecosystem, and that's how you want to treat your viewers and your followers. Be cautious, folks, is the best I can say. Some other Solana based news, Pump.fun, their X account was hacked today. Was this today or yesterday? Okay. 26. So this just happened. Pump.fun, their X account was hacked today and used to launch a phony governance token called Pump that rose 517 million% in price before crashing 99.9% in minutes. Oh my God. The platform's 23-year-old pseudonymous COO, Elon Cohen, posted on X, account has just been compromised. Please don't interact. The hack account said, introducing Pump, and claimed it was the official Pump.fun governance token, as if there would be a governance token on something like Solana or Solana based, where democracy has never been this degen. And everybody bought it and then got rugged. I mean, folks, if you're still involved, like, can I just be abundantly clear? If you're still involved in that ecosystem trying to make money, you're a fool. You're a fool. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. At this point, you are like just a straight up addicted degen, and you're never going to learn. Get off of Pump.fun, stop playing around in that ecosystem of trash, and start focusing on shit that actually has value and merit. Stop listening to all of these influencers telling you. They're constantly putting Solana in your face. They're constantly ignoring Just all of the degenerate activity on the chain, man, in favor of their own bank accounts getting bigger. And I'm just like, God, some of you guys are so disgusting. And it's not to say that I don't like like there are a lot of people out there that I like that still, I feel like they're rooting for Solana because they obviously hold bags of Solana, and nobody wants their bags to go down. I mean, nobody. But I think that there's there's, if you're willing to admit that, it's a shit show of a chain and you're just expecting the insiders to continue pumping it back up to where it was in an all-time highs, hey man, at least you're transparent and honest about it. I can respect that. But if you're trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes just to try and make some money, then not only are you a degenerate, but your viewers really are doing a disservice to themselves by paying you any attention whatsoever. But, again, that's my own opinion. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Everybody, whatever. But I feel like if you have a direct say and you're making a conscious decision to screw your viewers, then that's on you, man. Karma's a bitch. Oklahoma House of Representatives Committee approves the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill. This is news today. This is a big deal, folks. Oh boy, this is a big deal. And it's just one of many. On Wednesday, the Oklahoma House of Representatives Committee approved the Public Finance Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act would allow Oklahoma's pension funds to allocate a portion of their assets to Bitcoin. Folks, this is going to continue, and it's going to continue with every state, and it's going to continue. Representative Cody Maynard introduced the bill on January 15th. The act would allow the state to invest up to 10% of public funds in Bitcoin and other digital assets. How many of you guys remember the video I did years ago about what it would look like for Bitcoin? What it would look like for Bitcoin if just 5% of global pension funds were to go into Bitcoin. And if you remember, if you've been watching me for all these years, I think I labeled the video. I even tried to find it. I couldn't find it. I don't remember what happened to it. But I even tried to, I titled the video $280,000 Bitcoin or something. But realistically, it was like significantly higher than that. But I thought the price was so high. The idea, I think it was like over $1 million per Bitcoin. And at the time, it wasn't even a conversation. Like $1 million Bitcoin, that wasn't even part of the conversation at the time. So I thought it was so astronomical that it would just push people away. So I lowered it to like 280,000 to make it more feasible for people to understand. But yeah, like if just 5% of the global pension funds went into Bitcoin, and that's just pension funds. That's not even counting everything else. So yeah, the long and short of it is, 2030 is probably going to be the $1 million Bitcoin market, just so you guys know. Like, it's just, I think it's inevitable. So this is something that's really big. This is Bitcoin sell side liquidity. This is the over-the-counter balance over like 30 days of change. It says 30-day change number of Bitcoins. So this is basically the flow of Bitcoin over the counter since like back in like 2017, 2018. And what you can see is that from it's so hard to get it just on these little points here. So starting all the way back here, this was September of 2021. Okay. Everything was at a high. Over the counter balance was 488,000, almost 489,000 Bitcoin. And where is it today? It's just plummeted. You're looking at this purple line. That purple line is over the counter balance. Okay. These are the Bitcoins that are available to be purchased by institutions or whales or whoever over the counter. And for those of you that might be new, over the counter, you've got spot trading and over the counter trading. And in spot trading, you've got what's called slippage. Okay. Slippage is on an order book. Let's just say you've got 100 people and they're all willing to sell their Bitcoin. But when they sell it, like you've got this guy, he's willing to sell it at 100 grand. This guy's willing to sell it at 95 and then 90, right? But maybe there's a total of $1 million worth of Bitcoin available in that spread. Well, at that point, if somebody with $1 million goes to that exchange and they buy up all that Bitcoin, they get slippage. So what happens is that I think I got it backwards, but basically the price moves up or down dependent upon how many people are selling at a particular price, which is what they refer to as liquidity. The higher the liquidity, the easier it is to get into and out of a position without that price being affected in the middle of the transaction. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But over the counter means it's almost like, let's say I've got a Bitcoin and I want to sell it, and I don't want to have to put it on the market, and I don't want to influence the market's price at all. And you come to me directly and say, I'll buy your Bitcoin right now at market value minus maybe, you give me like a 2-point discount due to the price fluctuation, right? Or like somebody is selling, let's say they have 100,000 Bitcoin and they're willing to sell it over the counter at a discount because if they put it on exchanges to sell, they themselves might suffer slippage and ultimately get much less by moving the market down. Okay. So that's why the over-the-counter business is such a big deal to people, because institutions can go in and they can say, I want to buy $100 million of the Bitcoin right now. I'll buy it at a 3-point discount because I don't want to move the market up while I'm buying, pushing the price up on myself. I might buy the first Bitcoin at 100,000, but I might be paying 125,000 for the last Bitcoin. And then the growth of that throughout the transaction. So that's why over the counter is such a big deal. And the thing of it is that once this goes to zero, if it goes to zero, we'll see, there's always a market, but effectively when the ETFs continue growing and Bitcoin and everything else, I expect this to basically end up at close to nothing in the not so distant future. Just over the course of, a couple of years, we went from almost 500,000 Bitcoin available to about 145,000 Bitcoin available over the counter. So this is all being bought up, and it's being bought up by institutions, man. This is Bitcoin ETF overview. This is basically showing you the volume, okay? And you've got the highest volume. I'll put the highest volume. So $2.4 billion a day. And just to put this into perspective, for those of you that don't understand. So basically, this is about, what was this? 145,000 Bitcoin at about 85,000 a piece. I can't remember what the number was. Was it, about $13 billion. So that's about $13 billion. So when you look at these numbers and you say, okay, well, their volume alone at iShares Bitcoin Trust, their volume alone is pretty high. Well, that's $2.4 billion right there. Okay. And so that I think that's their total. So their daily volume is around 51.63 million. And then it just continues from here. Let's get the largest. So you got 11.88 million, 5 million. So we've got some time, but assuming all of these ETFs, these spot ETFs, the idea was initially, when these spot ETFs, when they kick in, they're just going to move the price up. Like it's going to be crazy, right? Well, no, because if they're buying over the counter, they're not moving the market at all. But what they can be doing is when the price is going down and sentiment changes, they could be selling, right? They could be selling back on the spot, not selling over the counter, but selling through exchanges, selling through major exchanges like Coinbase. This goes back to, if you sell on Coinbase, if they're a liquidity pool provider for other exchanges, what happens on Coinbase happens everywhere else, right? On all of the exchanges out in the world that are using Coinbase's price model or order book data as a liquidity pipeline. So they can be dumping the price on exchanges while they're buying over the counter. They're effectively moving the price lower and lower for themselves so that when they go back to buy in over the counter, they're getting it much, much cheaper. Welcome to crypto. Welcome to the trade of assets. So that's basically what's happening. But once that over the counter volume completely dries up, they've got there's no other route for them to go other than on spot exchanges. So yeah, but that's the volume right now. Right now the price change is down a little bit, and everybody's being affected. But listen, this is the game. Shares outstanding. You got turnover rate data here on the second to the right. Oh, you can't even see the tags there. There you go. Now you can see. Now you can see. So anyway, that's how that stuff works, man. Over the counter volume is dropping. For those of you that are not a member of my Substack, I am definitely going to be trying to get more active now that there's a need. I just posted a big banger yesterday. It went out. I've got about a little under 2,000 subscribers. Only about, it's getting close to 1,000 people have read the one that I sent out yesterday. A lot of good information in there. So if you're not a subscriber, maybe you want to check that out. And as this grows, I'll continue to, and you know what? Let me know in the comments if you don't mind. If you guys are a member of a Substack, how frequently is too frequently to be getting emails from Substack? Because there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't mind saying, but I'm always afraid of like overdoing it, over posting, over messaging everybody. Because I don't want it to get to a point where, like, it's been a couple months since I posted. I know at least once a month. Yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. And then this is a graphic showing you, this was the 2017 Bitcoin price. How is that 2017? That doesn't even make sense because the price peaked in 2017. I don't know if they made some changes to this or not, unless this was total market cap. Bitcoin US dollar on a weekly candle. But anyway, this is basically showing you what happens in a bull market. You had a 38% drop here, 38% drop here, 33, 38, 36. So if we look at Bitcoin's price, well, that's Bitcoin's dominance. Bitcoin's dominance is about to start falling, which tells me that, you know, it's very likely we could start seeing some altcoin rallying here soon. This is the CME futures. I mean, that's crazy, man. We just wicked down. This is a 4-hour candle. We just wicked down to 83,880, folks. So how much further do we have? How much further do we have to fill this gap? Another 7%. 7%. We go down 7% more, and we're good. And we fill that gap, and that's probably when we're going to get a pullback. That's my guess. That's my guess. I think it's happening. And as it happens, pulling down to this moving average, this is this is a week. I want it to be a weekly. Hold on. Is that right? Yeah. Simple moving average on a weekly. So once we pull down to this moving average here, these two down here, this is the pi cycle, which we're not closing. We could close that in May. That's what I'm expecting to see. But we need Bitcoin to turn around, and I don't think we're going to turn around until it might hit this. So the CME futures gap, the bottom of that is about 78,000, right? So about $78,000. It's all we have to do. And to get there, look at that. That alone is 79.8, hitting that weekly moving average. That's the 34. And so all we have to do is just get a little bit of a wick, man. We've closed the gap and we're good to go. And that's what I'm waiting for. And I think once that happens, sentiment is going to change. Everything's going to start kicking off. Bitcoin's dominance is going to start dropping. That's when the market really starts to run. I think once that happens, that is basically like this is showing you right here, man. And that total drop will only be about 28.65%. That is nothing, folks. That is nothing, especially when you see everything that, how many times. See, this is the difference between the institutions at play and not being in play. There's no real institutions that are taming the volatility. That's what's happening here. That's just sheer market sentiment. That's market makers. That's just people moving the market in different ways. But now it's a different ball game. Because now we have the institutions at play. They don't want the market to be extremely volatile. They want it to be a steady incline. And that's why I've been comparing it to like the NASDAQ. I always look at the NASDAQ charts from 1996 to present day. That's effectively the price action that institutions, these ETFs, that's what they want. And I believe that's what they're trying to achieve. So looking at Cardano's price, I think we hit the 60 cent range. I mean, we could very well hit the 60 cents in the midst of Bitcoin filling that CME futures gap. Maybe we wick a little bit lower, freak everybody out, and then boom, we wake up a day later and it's like blue skies and everybody's happy again. This is Cardano against Ethereum. It's been very choppy, very interesting, but effectively I'm very bullish on Cardano against Ethereum moving forward, starting to get a little bit of a green candle here. That could reverse, but we'll see. I think long term, by the peak of the market, Cardano is going to blow Ethereum out of the water. We've seen that. It's just what happens. This is from November of 2024 all the way up to December of 2024. And, we've lost some of that. But even if we were to go from the bottom here to that's 79% growth against Ethereum. And that's at the lowest point so far. As of right now, that's 111%. I think this, and I mean, in the previous market cycles, this is hundreds and hundreds of percent. So I do believe that Cardano is absolutely going to grow against the value of Ethereum. Ethereum is going to grow against the value of the US dollar. And by the peak of the market, this is going to be unprecedented. That's what I believe. Solana, Solana is still working its way down. Like it's tiptoeing, but it's still working its way down. Listen, I know a lot of people want to say a lot. I have my problems with Solana, obviously, but it is what it is, man. It's currently trading at $132 from a high of $295. This is just, I think, I really do. I think that the Solana narrative is being decimated. I think all these Solana influencers that are trying to ignore the reality of what situation they're in, does it go back up? Yeah, it's going to. Solana's going to go back up. I'm not saying it's going to go back up to $300. I'm not saying it's going to $1,000 like a lot of these influencers are hoping, because I just think that people are too much in the know now. Like anybody that wants to know the truth about Solana, it's a couple clicks away and you get it. And they can try to hide it and try to avoid it and ignore it all they want. But I think people are wisening up, and I think that the degeneracy surrounding the Solana ecosystem overall, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, you can't blame Solana for what Pump.fun does. And I'm like, you know what? It's the narrative that's been used to push Solana to attract Pump.fun to begin with. Not just that, but your user base is just extremely degenerate newcomers trying to make a quick buck. And they don't care how. And when the influencers themselves are basically demonstrating that same mentality, but from the opposite side of the table, it's like that's of course why you're going to draw these people in, because you're getting people that are speculating on the degeneracy of the chain, not the technology. And how could you? When you're getting 50%, 60, I think in some cases, I think I saw something like 90% of failed transactions over periods of time. It's like you can't build a case for the tech. But when I see somebody like Rand Nooner talk about, it has the best technology of any blockchain, and I'm like, dude, what are you smoking? Like what planet are you even on? And it's all nonsense. But I don't know, man. So this is Apex Fusion. This is doing well, man. Recently just launched, currently trading at 25 cents. It's back up. It dumped all the way back down to 16%. It's working its way back up. I'm bullish on Apex, man. Like I said, Apex Fusion is kind of like my, volume, 24-hour volume, $61,000. I'm very much interested in potentially trying to trade Apex Fusion, as like a trading experiment. If you're watching a blockchain trade and you're following its volume growth and you're just trading the ebbs and flows, how much more can you accumulate over time? You know what? I should probably do that. How many of you would be interested in watching that progress? I'm curious. If I were to start actively trading Apex, trading the ebbs and flows, using little indicators, figuring out if the indicators even matter yet for Apex. They probably don't, I'm guessing, but I know that new exchanges are coming, and they're going to play a big role. Looking at the current liquidation status, over the last 24 hours, over $620 million have been wrecked. 466 million of these have been longs. Shorts have been doing all right with 153 million. But I think this tide is going to change. I'm just telling you, tide's going to change. Over the last 24 hours, we see liquidity forming up significantly with about $76 million ready and waiting to be plucked down here at the $86,000 mark. But man, it's really building up here. It's building up here. So I'm telling you, I think we're going to close that CME futures gap, and then we're going to just start ripping to the upside back to 100,000. And this is my BitUnix trade. I'm still waiting. My liquidation price is down to 69,000. I'm not worried. I don't think we're going to get that low. I think we're going to fill the gap. I think we're going to get a reversal, and I think everybody's going to start rejoicing. I think at that point we're going to start seeing, everything change. We're going to start seeing everything change. And I'm not really concerned. And this isn't like a me being like a smoke and mirrors kind of thing. I think these things are going to play out. I think that the Bybit situation has to resolve. I think all the exchanges involved have to resolve whatever they've done, whatever they're doing to make ends meet. And I think next week, one way or another, I think next week is going to be, it could potentially be like the worst week and the best week all at the same time. I think a lot of that is going to depend on the trend starting on Monday, where we end up by Wednesday. If we get a big reversal on Wednesday, assuming that we're getting that dump between now, I really do believe that between now and next Wednesday, we're going to fill that CME futures gap and start working our way back to the upside. And I think March is like, March is going to be a big deal. I really do. I think March is going to be a big month. My wife is always telling me my March is going to be groundbreaking. March is going to be insane for me. I'm going to be happier than I've been in years and all this other stuff, because she's all big into the charts and all kinds of this woozy woo stuff. I always tease her about it, but she finds a lot of peace and growth in a lot of that stuff. And she's really been just diving in deep. A million books. I swear to God, this woman spends hours in the kitchen just writing notes out of all these books. But she's telling me March is going to be huge, and she's been saying it, and she doesn't really have a clue like what all's going in the market or how things are poised. She's like telling me May is going to be insane for me as well, and I'm like, I don't know, man. She's either the red dress witch in Game of Thrones, or she's a prophet. Well, we're going to find out. Let's take a quick look at, I'm going to pull you guys over to my big window, and then we're going to go over some Q&A a little bit before we sign out for the day and I try and get to work. So let's see what you guys have to say. I see Michael Daya, $10 tip for something. Let's see. I have a recurring investment of $5 of Cardano every day, basically a cup of coffee. When I retire in 25 years, it will be as if I drank from the golden cup the whole time. That's clever. That's probably pretty smart too. I'm curious how long you've been doing that for. Like, when did you start? Thank you for that tip, man. I appreciate it, Michael. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Typically, I want to address everybody that, and hopefully my white balance is a little better. Don't get too excited. I'm not naked in here. I'm wearing shorts. Yo, thanks for wearing our merch, the Hydro Drip Crow shirt. Yeah, man, welcome. No problems. Cool shirt. Alex Lawson, you're off today? Yeah. Would it matter, Alex? Would it matter? I could see you basically being on a fire truck en route to like a major fire. I go live. You'll still figure out a way to come in and be like, let's go. Aaron's in the house with a gay for crow. Well, thank you very much. I always get a chuckle out of those. The number of those have dropped quite a bit since the last bull market, I will say. I don't know if the gay folks like me as much as they used to. Chromosexual. Wow, that's interesting. Maybe that's what it's like being a sexual person on the spectrum. Liking the new setup. Cool. I'm still working on it. Definitely still working on it. You'll notice behind me that one with everything. You guys should do some digging on that. I actually bought that set. It's an original set that I bought from Crypto Face because he bought like 4 of them. and they're like $800 a piece. But it's that game that was basically predicting all kinds of stuff in the future, and a lot of it was coming true. And then the creator of the game was like raided by the FBI, and was it Steve Jackson? So anyway, yeah, I've got a copy of it. It's very interesting to go through those cards. Wasn't expecting Crow to be a stepdad. Yeah, of course. Well, my wife, he's my wife's son. I feel like everybody's a step parent nowadays. Cries into Kill Team. Nice. Oh yeah, my Kill Team box. Can you see that? I guess I've got all kinds. I'm not gonna lie though, a lot of these games that I have, I bought like really cool games. I haven't even played most of them. Will be out. Like I like Warhammer. I haven't even put up my miniatures shelf yet. I have got, I don't know, 500 miniatures models for like Warhammer, War Machine. I've never even played Warhammer 40K, but I've got 2 factions. I just like to paint them. I just haven't painted in so long. It's probably been a year since I painted anything because I'm not playing right now. I love War Machine. War Machine's my favorite tabletop game, man. My favorite miniatures game. The models are awesome. I love the rule set. I love the tactical nature of it. It's like a really, really cool, complicated chess. It's hard to explain, but nobody plays that around here. And so I'm like forced into Warhammer 40K, even though I just don't like it as much. But I haven't played it, but just like watching videos of people playing it, knowing how the rules play. Or yeah, anyway, not that you guys care, but how much monthly effort is there in running a pool? Is this something you have to work on daily or just updates? It's mostly updates. It's mostly just updates and maintenance. You guys would have to ask David Nance. He's in my Telegram group. I'm sure he'd be willing to help you, probably give you some tips or whatever if you're trying to launch your own node. I really do. I would like to see more nodes. I would like to, like, we've got a lot, but I don't think there can be enough. I'm late to the party. You're not late. You're good. The Trump hype for crypto is pure smoke. Mr. Sanchez, I beg to disagree. I don't think it's pure smoke. I just think it's just getting started, man. You're talking about the president. You're talking about the things take time. It's not like Trump can get sworn in and then like sign a couple papers and then boom, the crypto market is new and everything's good. I mean, if you can't tell how the crypto market is changing for the better, I mean, the SEC's dropping case after case after case. I'm not even sure. We don't even have a new SEC commissioner yet, do we? I'm not sure. I haven't seen any news on who the new one is. But all of these pro crypto people are being put in positions to start making shit happen. I mean, hell, Kash Patel was just signed into the FBI last week, wasn't it? Like it takes a little while, man, but we're going to start hitting it. Don't worry. But I know that they're starting with the stablecoin legislation first. That's going to be happening here probably by May. And then once we get that down, I just think we're going to start really seeing a lot of activity. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. You are my D-Rep Crow. Appreciate your hard work. My delegation was quite significant. Well, thank you, P Fees. I appreciate it. P Fees. Warhammer spotted. Enjoy your info. Your one real ones. God bless you, bro. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate that. I like to think I'm a real one. And I like the fact that anytime I meet other influencers, they always say that to me. Like, you're a real one. Like, I don't know if people expect me to be different in person than I am. I remember the biggest one was when I met Crypto Zombie years ago. Like, apparently he used to think I was the biggest asshole, fake, like whatever. And then once he was around me, we hung out for a couple hours at, it was like that Vegas convention. And he was like, I don't remember to say like he was emotional, but he was so guilt-ridden. He's like, dude, I was so wrong about you, man. He's like, you're a real one. You're so cool in person. I thought you were going to be a total dick. And I'm like, wow, cool, man. Like, I'm like, what you see is what you get with me. I don't really put on a show for anybody. Sometimes I wonder if that's a luxury of being so big. Like, I don't fear anybody. I'm not worried about somebody beating me up or, you know, I just, a part of me wonders if it's a luxury or if it's just the way my mind works. I am what I am. I don't really pull punches. I call shit as I see it. It is what it is. I don't know. I feel like, but I'm also I am a very compassionate person. I'm a very generous person, typically to a fault. And sometimes I have to rein shit in. I just, I'm like, listen, this is the only life I have. I just want to try and live it for as much as I can get out of it, which is a really difficult thing to do for someone like me, because like I'm not, I am so big and I feel like my options are limited. I can't just run out and do like a little 6 foot guy. I shouldn't say little 6 foot guy, but like a normal sized person. Everything affects me so much more. The heat affects me dramatically. I don't have as many options, and so I don't do as much. It is a God's gift that he did this for you. It is great. Yeah, Paul, I totally agree, man. The tattoo was like, I still get choked up thinking about it. I was choked up last night when they came home and showed me, and it was such a surprise. And on top of that, it's honestly one of the coolest tattoos I've ever seen in person. Like, it legitimately is a cool tattoo. As a matter of fact, I can show you guys who did it. Let's give him a plug, shall we? Let me pull it up real quick, because the work this guy does is absolutely amazeballs. Let me find the window that I have set up in here. Where it is. There it is. All right. So I'm going to pull this back over and I'll share this with y'all. So this is my stepson's Instagram. He's got 1,000 followers. Yeah, this is him. He's big into rock climbing now. He's big into jujitsu. We just went and rolled jujitsu together the other night. He's gotten so good. He's gotten a lot better. Him and his girlfriend, I don't know what they have on their noses, but that's kind of funny. But he's a drummer. He's a really, really damn good drummer in his band. And, he's just an overall great dude, man. He really is. He's just a kick-ass dude. He's one of those guys that I feel like you would, when you first meet him, he seems like kind of shy and a little timid, but I feel like the more you get to know him, the more you realize he's definitely a lead by example kind of person. And I think that to me is more meaningful than anything else. Just like who he is as a dude is like, that's just like, it's just really cool. I just like, I love who he's becoming. I love who he is. And for him to do something like that is another just testament to his character. So there was something, let me see. It's, I thought I had it pulled up. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Where it is. There it is. Here we go. So this is the artist that did it. I'm actually tempted. I did message him. I doubt he's messaged me back yet. Let me check real quick. No, he hasn't messaged me back yet. But this is the artist that did it. That did Xander's Crow. He's so freaking good, man. And apparently this guy just does not accept a lot of people. And I really want to see if this guy could take my biomech tattoos on both my sleeves and like enhance them and make them better. Because this guy's talent is undeniable, man. I mean, I'm blown away by this guy's gift. So if you're into tattoos and you're into tattoo art, and like give this guy a follow as well. It's Ink Jutsu Tattoo. You can see how it's spelled out there. 18.7 thousand followers, and Daniel Thatch. Guy's just incredible, man. I love this. This is just sickening. I just that kind of talent. I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me. Truly, it's mind-blowing. It's just unbelievable. So like this guy inspires me to get more work done. I mean, look at that shit. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, just thought I'd share the love a little bit. Go give Xander a follow. Watch some of his music and stuff. They're always working on things. But yeah, it's his best friend who basically got his fingers cut off in a work accident. Now he can't even play the guitar anymore. And it's like that got me choked up a little bit yesterday. So anyway, the longest live stream in a while. Let me finish up here and make sure I'm not missing anything important. It's all important, don't get me wrong, but like any questions or anything. Soul is getting smashed. Yes, it is. Crow has no pants. No, I do. Hold on, let me show you. I don't want anybody to think I'm sitting here buck naked or anything. Like this is weird. But I don't know, when it switches over, I can show you that I'm, or no, you know what? Maybe I won't. Yeah, maybe I'm not wearing pants. What do you think about that? What's up? Yeah, you can see him there. Sorry to burst any bubbles, but yeah, that's, I'm always wearing clothes. Can't wait to buy Cardano at 10 cents again. That's probably not happening. I wouldn't hold out. Charles, just shower Trump with praise and compliments and you're in. That's not true. I think Charles understands his audience. He will adapt for Trump. I think he probably will too. I mean, if there's one thing Charles is he's a smart guy. So I just, I feel like in some instances, Charles would do better to not wear his intelligence on his sleeve. And I'm not saying he does this from like an ego view perspective, but I definitely feel like he would serve bigger portions of the community by translating his own speak. That's all I'm saying. The more people that get the message, the better off you are. And he just rolls off the tongue with all of this really high level stuff. And, I just think he would reach more people. You've got some pro Solana people in the chat, obviously talking shit about, you can tell some of them are bots. It's weird how that works, but, did you low kick Rand? No, I haven't, but he's on my leg kick list. I'll tell you that. But honest to God, I'm not going to lie. Like Rand Nooner is one of the tiniest human beings I've ever seen. And I'm not even exaggerating. He's probably the same size as my wife. Because I did meet him in person once at one of Ben Cowan's parties. And he walked in and he's tiny, man. Honest to God, I have sperm bigger than that man. I'm not joking. Like he's absolutely tiny. So, I mean, it's funny, but it's like I couldn't leg kick him because if I did, he would literally become Superman and it probably wouldn't end well. So I would never physically accost Rand Nooner. Let's make that abundantly clear. I would kill that man by accident, and that's not a good thing. So that would never happen. But I would have no problem telling him I think he's a piece of shit for what he does. I just feel like with somebody with that level of market understanding and intelligence, I just think he could be using his powers for much more, for much better things than screwing his audience. And it's all my opinion, but I just think there are better ways to go about things than he's doing. Because if anything, I feel like when I posted the comment on his channel, it wasn't even an attack on him, and it wasn't even really a direct attack on Solana. It was just posing a question, like, why not go over some of these other details so that people have a better understanding as to what else is going on beyond just Bitcoin's price dropping? Why don't you share some of this other stuff as like, hey, these things have been exposed about Solana for a while now too. They're probably affecting the price drop as well. But and then like go into it and then just like educate people on like some of the realities. The video was titled the reality of Solana or something like that. It's time to face the facts of Solana. Well, you're not facing facts because everything he did was like smoke and mirrors. So it was the polar opposite of the facts. They effectively ignored the facts in favor of this like buy the dip narrative that they're trying to push. And I just think it's irresponsible. But he's smart enough and he has his finger on the pulse of enough of the market that people still are going to watch him. I just hope that people are wise enough to like understand like the bias in the situation related to Solana. And listen, man, I'm a Cardano guy, right? So I feel like Charles could probably, it's not true. If Charles went out and like head kicked a deer or something like that for fun and sport, I would be shitting all over him. Like I would just call it as it is. Like, you're a piece of shit for that. But Charles isn't that kind of person. Like Charles isn't going to do that. It's just like I call stuff as I see it. And, a lot of people want to think, oh, you're such a Cardano bull. You defend Cardano for like, no, I wouldn't. If if Charles showed up tomorrow with pictures of Klaus Schwab and him making out in Davos, and and then Charles posts on Twitter like big changes coming, I'd be like, I don't think so, I'm out. And I would like totally, my entire existence on YouTube would change in that moment. So and I'm not kidding. Like, there are things that I believe and there are things that I would act absolutely against. Like, if Charles says something that like might rub me wrong or something like that, would I like shut down and be like, yeah, fuck you, man? Like, no, I'm a grown ass man. I'm not that sensitive. Like, I'm not, but real things that I think affect real people and affect more people than just me. Of course I would like come out against it. But I think that's the difference. That's the difference between me. I call it as it is, or I at least call it as I see it. I have my own opinions. This whole channel, everything I do here is my own opinion. People tune in for that opinion because they believe that it comes from the heart, and it does come from the heart. And I wear it on my sleeve at all times, and I don't hide that. And it's for better or worse. So it is what it is. Why didn't Wyoming go with Cardano? I don't know. Probably somebody got some money somewhere. Like everything else in politics, somebody's being paid and somebody's not. So it is what it is. Gambling is addictive. Think that's it. I mean, Charles pays taxes there, doesn't he? I'm not sure what you're referring to, but yeah, I'm sure he pays taxes. Crow, are you located in Florida? Yeah, I did actually live in Tampa for a year, but I'm not there anymore. But I am still in Florida. Sol equals meme coin slot machine. The crypto ecosystem would be better off if it didn't exist, but I am a free market type of guy and think people are dumb enough to get rugged on it. So be it. I mean, to an extent, I agree, but that doesn't mean that you can't try to reach out and educate people on what the reality is, especially when they're being misled by a lot of people with a lot to gain by perpetuating these false narratives related to a chain that, to me is the red light district of crypto. And even worse. I mean, it's worse than that. When you see what some of these people have been doing to like establish or promote meme tokens, I just don't know how you can condone that kind of activity and then not say that, Solana and the Solana ecosystem overall has something to do with it, even if it's just psychological in the way they've built themselves up. Weldy Weld, what's going on? Crow on the live. They can't shake me out. Yeah. The big pay here. Big pay. Caught the stream late, but excited to be here. Thanks. Is that I don't know if that's the real big pay, honestly. But he's a cool dude. Just because there's no picture. He has no picture in his avatar there. And I would assume that he would be like here on his own channel. Over the counter is how the big money manipulates the price. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. I think once a week for Substacks is a good set. Okay, interesting. That sounds like a lot to me. Once a week? I could do that. Getting closer to alt season, in my opinion, absolutely. I'm telling you, as soon as we fill the gap, I think everything starts to turn around. And then once we do that, I think Bitcoin's dominance is going to start to trickle down until we get closer to Bitcoin's peak, and then it's just going to plummet, and that's when everything else is going to spill into the altcoins. So yeah, and of course, when I think it happens this time, I'm going to let everybody know. I'm of course going to post on my Twitter, probably going to go live, and yeah, I'm going to let everybody know. I'm not going to wait like I did. I waited a couple weeks before I went on YouTube and talked about it, because I was like, well, what if I'm wrong? I don't want to screw anybody, but everybody tells me, don't wait. It's like, listen, I'm always right sometimes. So I'm just going to say what I say and hope everybody, it doesn't matter what I say. Let's put it this way. I could think the market peaked yesterday and like, it doesn't matter. Always get a second opinion. To me, it's almost like if a doctor basically tells you you've got this terrible thing wrong with you, go get a second and third, even a fourth opinion. Don't just take the word of one person. None of us are prophets. None of us know everything all the time. Yeah, I think Apex is going to be fun. I really do. Any update on if they are doing airdrops for Apex? I don't know. Rand did put out a meme coin. Maybe why he's still trying to pump Sol. I doubt that. Any meme coins, the lifespans of meme coins nowadays are shorter than the lifespans of somebody that would fought in Vietnam. Chromosexual checking in. This is going to be a new thing now. This is the first I've even seen the term a chromosexual. That's hilarious. All right, well, all you chromosexuals out there and all the rest of you, hopefully you guys have a good day. It's 2:30. I want to get some other stuff done so I can feel a little more productive today. And yeah, until next time, grow your coins, and I'll see you soon. Thanks again for joining me. I do appreciate it.